just said fuck him. What? So this isn't very good. So Jake is actually facing backlash for being a rat from his own people, and this is not good. This is probably contributing to the reason why he probably dropped out of his gang. But the number one reason why he dropped out, as we all know, is because he wants to be a country boy. What? He's got this new girlfriend that he's going to propose to very soon, and he wants to fit the mold of what he believes she wants in a man, which is a clean-cut, God-fearing countryman. What? So Jake he's big country now, and so he's trying to make this career pivot where because he no longer needs these guys, these older bloods in Florida, to sort of use their image to advance his career.
And I'm Jake, in the motherfucking building. 3-hour interview, 100,000 on the chain. Big 1090, shout out to Mazza. Big Buds in the building. GKB in the fucking building.
What is good with it, y'all? It's Coffee. And we back at it. Like, we're back. So get back in them comments. Get back interacting with the channel. I need to hear from y'all all. So much is going on right now. When you see where we're kicking things off, man, with 1090 Jake, man. We know a couple of people been on his bumper, from Point and Shoot, who is just wreaking havoc all across the blogosphere. I just seen he caught a big W in court the other day. I don't know if it was against No Jumper, Adam 22, or the 16 in Nashua, as Point and Shoot likes to reference him as, or if it was against disgraced media personality. That's the way he calls him a kook, right? That's the way that Point and Shoot puts it about Star Troy Turan, formerly of Star and Buck Wild, of Shot 97, the channel that he made after Hot 97. Yo, there was a classic bit out there. I guess it was from Star's old channel, because you can't find it no more, where he was talking about he was talking to this rapper from Toronto, like, forget what dude's name was, but he just roasted the fuck out of him, man. He called him a fake yard dude from Toronto. It was straight comedy, straight up bombity, but you can't find it no more. It's gone. It's vanished into the abyss. But one of them cases that went before the Copyright Claims Board that Point and Shoot was fighting it out with, which No Jumper and Star, one of them got thrown out. I don't know which one. I think the Star one was going to get thrown out anyway, so I'm hoping it was the No Jumper one, because the Star one's going to be a win for show. And I mean, by definition, the one against No Jumper should be as well. It's fair use, man. I'm so sick of these punk-ass, weak body, bitch-ass content creators out here crying, having their period every time someone uses content under fair use and they don't like it. Oh, we're the big content machine. We're No Jumper. We make all this big content. You know what I mean? But if you use anything under fair use, we're going to cry about it and whine like cold bitches out here. And they've just been doing everything. If you follow his community posts, Point and Shoot keeps sharing every day the way that they keep trying to file new ones to jam them up or whatever. So I hope that court win is for him, man. Shout out to the sheriff, Point and Shoot. Congrats on that win, getting that case thrown out in court. But getting back to what we were talking about with 1090 Jake, right? He's been talking about, and a lot of other content creators, about how he's dropped his flag, he's going country and all this stuff. And, you know, what do you guys think? Has everyone seen the Byron Blake situation with 1090 Jake? We're talking about fair use. He flagged one of 1090 Jake flagged one of Byron Blake's videos, and it seems like they're going to be battling it out in front of a Copyright Claims Board. Like, 1090 isn't responding to Byron Blake at all. He just flagged him. And if you peep the post too, it's the same thing that in the post Point and Shoot put out, that they're saying, like, this work is not a transformative work or whatever. It's fair use, you know what I mean? But it just makes me think, because Adam 22 with No Jumper was talking about this whole movement. Vlad was going to start to kill all these content creators being able to use stuff under fair use, which is a federal law, right? Like, when everyone puts these claims in, they're swearing under the penalty of perjury. So when they lose, it's like Is that perjury? It should be. You know what I mean? Will content creators countersue? Can they sue civilly? I don't know, man. It's all a mess. Like, why can't people just let people make their content and not let their panties get in a bunch? You know what I mean? But jump in the comments with your thoughts about it all, what we've touched on thus far, what we continue to touch on in this video. But he said 1090 Jake dropped the red rag and picked up the cowboy handkerchief and threw on some, he called them shit kicker cowboy boots, and left it all alone. He's gonna be a cowboy now. And it seems he's not the only individual switching it up and going country and becoming a cowboy. The other individual we're talking about is a huge star, right? But we knew he took one of the biggest losses ever in a rap game, in an epic hip-hop beef. We're talking about Drizzy Drake, who got bodied by Kendrick Lamar. He took the movement, the Not Like Us movement, to the Super Bowl, and all the OVO stands and Drake stands, including DJ Academics, the cold weirdo who was on stream talking to a 15-year-old boy like some kind of offender, is disgusting, disturbing, despicable, and downright wicked. For those have rocked with the channel for a minute, y'all already know what it is, man. He's on them wicked Jeffrey Maustein vibes. Like, it's makes me sick, man. Something needs to be done about that. But DJ Academic holds fucking Drake's sack. It's disgusting. You know what I mean? And Drake has gone country as well. I think he's trying to run away to a place where he can get away from all the Kendrick fans. And I guess maybe in Texas, is that what it is, y'all? And is it northern Texas or wherever the fuck he's went? In November 24, he put out a video of him riding around on a golf cart around this ranch that he bought somewhere in Texas. Stay with me out. Get you the names of the area. All the Texans tap in and let me know. There's some place called Brennan's Saddle Shop. They're talking about the legacy continues. See you all again. There's a lot of word that Drake is buying the saddle shop. And you see here too, Drake in Texas at Brennan's Saddle Shop Inc. You see him with the cowboy hat on. He's like Kendrick Lamar, done cooked him up so much. He ran, we're talking about copyright claims and stuff. He ran, he's suing everybody. He settled with UMG, or not UMG, with iHeartRadio, but not UMG, the big, you know, part of the lawsuit. But anyways, right, you see here last year, so this was in November 2024 is when we're referencing last year, Drake bought an expansive estate near Brenham, Texas, a small town about an hour and a half from Houston. Locals have seen him supporting small businesses since, and he's rumored to be potentially buying that iconic saddle shop in which we're speaking of. And he went to this Brenham's Suitor Saloon, but there was like all this excitement. People got too turned up or whatever. Maybe there was a couple Kendrick Lamar fans in there and he got up out of there, right? And you see a local who I guess has some juice or pull in that area. She took to social network and said, "Thank you all for reaching out, but please stop sending me screenshots of everyone's posts about Drake being at shooters, and let's have a straightforward convo." This is Green Hanneth. She's some kind of local in that area or some kind of prominence, right? Before addressing the Drake situation, she discussed long-standing issues and feedback, clarifying the inventory process, and also highlighting rowdy customers who have caused problems in the past. She said many local customers who complained about people having their phones out and spooking Drake on this are the same ones causing trouble on other days. So I don't know. They're saying people just had their phones out too much and Drake had to get up out of that one spot. I'm thinking maybe there was some Kendrick fans in there, because you're going to see clips and pics, or you might see some of them already coming up where one dude has an OVO tattoo and all that. So like Drake leaves this spot and goes to the other one where he's taking pictures with everyone. So that couldn't have been what it was, right? It had to be he was getting heckled, man. There might have been someone in there talking about PG Lang, TDE, Not Like Us. Get the fuck up out of here. You know what I mean? Like Drake is gone country as well. You know what I mean? The narratives about 1090 Jake are many as to why he's leaving a gang life behind and going country. With Drake, it's like, and again, comment your guys' thoughts about the whole Byron Blake situation, why 1090 ain't responding. And if you watch those 1090 Jake exposed videos, you know what I'm saying? Jake's throwing it out there like he's just trying to damage my reputation, telling stories every day. Do you believe that his videos are just stories? Or do you think he's really breaking it down and putting out for real deal content and putting out like serious conversations about it all that are legit combos, or he's just flat out trolling them? I haven't watched them all, but from what I watched, it seems like he's putting together some for real content. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to get on here and shit on 1090 Jake. I've been a fan of 1090, but I just don't understand why he's not responding. But back to what we were talking about with Drake, this same Green Haneth woman put, who knows, it might be the best option out there. I think this is about Drake buying that saddle shop, but it really doesn't matter who owns it. The personalities of the people who visit will remain the same. They'll have the same rules as any other bar. If you cause problems, you're not allowed back. It's that simple. So again, he runs out of the one spot and they're saying, oh, these people spooked him with their phones out, but he went and took all these pictures somewhere else. I don't get it. What was the difference, man? I'm telling y'all, man. Someone hit him with that K-dot, not like us, man. It's also surprising that someone from the Brenham community would prefer a non-local to win instead of supporting someone from the area. So the next time you wish for a celebrity to take over, think about the locals who support you at your place of employment. And, you know, they just been saying how Drake's been real active in the area and, you know, supporting local businesses and all that. Like, he's trying to be a full-blown Texan. You know, back in the day, he was talking about Houston, Atlanta, Vegas or whatever. You know, he's from the T-Dot. Well, now he's a Texan. He's gone country. He went to this one bar. They spooked him. He ran off to this other bar and was doing shots, taking pictures and everything. You know what I mean? Someone there had the OVO tattoo. It was like, yo, I think Kendrick fans, we got to say allegedly, but I'm saying allegedly, Kendrick fans heckled him and ran him out. That's all you got to do if you see Drake, is say, Drake, not like us, and he'll go file a lawsuit on you. You know what I mean? It's crazy. We got all these YouTubers running, filing copyright claims, and we got Drake filing lawsuits and moving across the country just because he can't handle that he took a L. But before we close this video out, we got one more rapper whose back has been against the wall like crazy to talk about, and he is another rapper, speaking of Drake, who allegedly slapped flames out of Drake before.
I'm going to interrupt you just closely here, Misty, because we are getting the verdict coming in right now. This is coming in real time, and we have count one here. This is the racketeering charge. We have the count here of not guilty on racketeering. This is coming in real time. We have count two also coming in here, not guilty. That is the sex trafficking of Cassie Ventura. Count three, we have guilty. Count three is guilty for the transportation of Cassie Ventura. That is guilty. Count four, this is the sex trafficking of Jane. That's a pseudonym. Not guilty. Count five, we have guilty. That is 5 counts. We have a mixed verdict here. Again, count one, as it relates to racketeering, not guilty. Count two, as it relates to sex trafficking, not guilty. Count three, guilty. Count four, not guilty. Count five, guilty. Now, we should bring up here, Misty, all of these counts have a range of different sentences, a range of different evidentiary burdens, a range of different outcomes we could have had here, but it is a mixed verdict, if you will.
It's a mixed verdict, but it is a stunning victory for the defense. The Mann Act, these charges, these were the easiest for prosecutors to prove, the lowest hanging fruit, merely required showing that state lines were crossed for the purpose to engage in prostitution. We saw a lot of evidence on these charges, did not have that element, Laura, of force, fraud, or coercion. And this carries the lightest sentence of these charges. It is a maximum of 10 years. And keep in mind, when you're talking about maximums aren't the rule. They are the exception. They're for the most exceptional and severe cases. So now you're talking about a sentence that's potentially in the lower range with time served because he's been behind bars. The fact that these sex trafficking charges, specifically with respect to Cassie Ventura, means that the jury was convinced by the defense, at least with respect to reasonable doubt, that the commercial sex, i.e. the freak-offs, were not connected to some of this violence, that there was not that force, fraud, or coercion element. That is by far, from a penalty perspective, the most serious. It carried a 15-year minimum. So that is a huge distinction. This is the best case scenario, in my view, for the defense. A lot of us opined yesterday that when the jury asked for a readback of Cassie Ventura and Daniel Phillips, one of the escorts' testimony, that read perhaps negatively for the defense. The jury was digging in to see if there was that force, fraud, or coercion. Clearly, it went the other way.
And, it's interesting because the prosecutors had told them you don't have to find force, fraud, or, coercion on every single instance that he did this, right? You only have to find one. It doesn't have to be that this happened every time. But for the racketeering, you really did need to find a pattern of behavior. You needed to find a criminal enterprise that he engaged in with other people, right? When people think of racketeering, they think of the mob. They think of running drugs. They think of running guns. Now, federal prosecutors have used a far more expansive view of racketeering, especially in recent years in SDNY, right? Because They want to bring in all of the worst evidence. They want to stretch back the material decades ago. And so you've talked about how it allows them to tell a full story. Well, it turns out doing that in this case did not fulfill what the prosecutors had hoped, because obviously they have now cleared him. They have acquitted him of that top charge of racketeering. They have acquitted him of the two other charges of using force and fraud, despite having that video, right, Misty? We talked about that video being so damning for him, where you see him on tape pulling Cassie Ventura by the hair. You see him stomping on her. The jury heard evidence that he actually paid money to a security guard to bury that video, paid him in a paper bag, and yet it wasn't enough.
It was not enough. So when it comes to the sex trafficking, yesterday, those questions that the jury asked for the readback with respect to the testimony aligned perfectly to what prosecutors in their closing argument said were three very obvious instances of sex trafficking, because they did not have to find that it was the hundreds of times that Cassie Ventura had testified that she engaged in these freak-offs. So prosecutors pointed to these three. That testimony aligned exactly to that, what the jury wanted to hear. So here's where the defense clearly broke that chain, because what needed to happen was that the jury believes that the commercial sex act, so those freak-offs, that Cassie Ventura engaged in them because of that violence, because of the force that Combs was exerting, because of extortion about releasing these videos. But what the defense argued was there were lots of other reasons. There was jealousy in the relationship. Yes, there was violence, but it related to these personal romantic relationships that he had with both Cassie and Jane.
As opposed to being part of this masterminding of an enterprise.
And you know what's interesting, Laura? So now we know, we opined about why the jury was not on the same page when it came to RICO. We said, was it because they couldn't agree on a predicate crime, or was it because they just couldn't get there with respect to the idea of this criminal enterprise, which has been very amorphous during the course of this case from prosecutors, hasn't really defined what it is or its purpose. And the answer is, it's that. It's either they didn't believe there was a conspiracy or the enterprise existed. And I say that because the Mann Act, these two charges are predicates for RICO. Yeah. So if they believed that there had been a criminal enterprise,
that would have been enough.
This would have satisfied the predicate crimes. So that means
they didn't satisfy that.
So y'all heard that. That's Diddy. That's the big news with these verdicts all coming in. Mixed verdicts, but only found guilty of one. And it's kind of like that Karen Reed trial that everyone was talking about, man. Tap in and let me know if y'all followed that trial at all. He was found she got found guilty of the drunk driving and got time served. With Diddy, he got filed of basically traveling to engage in prostitution, and they're saying it's going to end up being time served. All the other ish was a no-go. You know what I mean? And when I was following the trial, my commentary was like that what they were saying was going down with Cassie, because that's what I mean. They're saying like, yo, that was more or less just a domestic violence situation. That was a DV situation. That wasn't him controlling her or extorting her, which I was surprised. I thought the fact that he made her mom come off for $20K might have been what did him in. But no, they just basically looked at all that as a lover's quarrel. So I don't know, the Molotov cocktails, violating Kid Cudi's dog, being the Grinch who stole Christmas up in Kid Cudi's crib. None of it was anything to make it any more than just like a domestic situation, basically. You know what I mean? And the second witness that they put on, Diddy's baby's mom, who all the internet sleuths determined that's who it was, you know, the Jane Doe, she flat out said she engaged in the freak offs and stuff like that under her own accordance because she was jealous of Young Miami, who, if you guys see too, Diddy just put out that Young Miami was never his side chick. He cares about her a lot, but she was just the thing that he was, you know, pressing up on and smashing on when he felt like it. You know what I mean? So we now know Diddy was indeed fucking around with dudes. He was watching the Punisher pipe down his wife. But, you know, none of it, after this federal trial, all the scrutiny his personal life and everything has been under, it's nothing more than just a bad relationship with Cassie. And, you know, he crossed state lines to engage in prostitution, not ex-traffic. You know what I'm saying? So there y'all have it. That's the news on this one. You know what I mean? Drake has followed 1090 Jake and gone country to leave all the noise and the stress behind and move into his new life. You know what I'm saying? 1090, he's done with that big blood ish and all that, and he's battling it out with Byron Blake and other individuals. Again, point and shoot, got that win in court. Hopefully it was against no jumper. But Drake's leaving it behind, man. The Kendrick heat was too much for him. So hit the comments with your thoughts on it all. Sub up to the channel. I thank y'all for tuning in. It's been another episode of J Coffee Talk. Subscribe, y'all. We're talking it up on music, news, sports, and more. And I always got to hear from y'all, the people.